All right. This is number 13. The takeaway afterward of the Verusteleka remote military march. Unpacking the rucksack. This is the large Alice with a few little mods. All right. Before I unpack any more, I'm going to show you a couple things. You could do this to your MALICE as well. Alright. So, what you want to do to help with your load control, right? Because load control is a real concern on large Alice type packs. Alright, load control. Now, I'm going to go ahead and lean this back over here, and we're going to take a look. So what I got here is I have a compression strap on this Alice. Now, everybody should know, because these have been around for decades, unless you're just a young person in the Boy Scouts or whatnot, then we'll forgive you. Go ahead and undo this pouch. Okay, so the pouch flap, just pull it up there, and I'm going to pull that strap out, and I'm going to pull this strap out. Now these are just kind of in here, alright, just to show you that's I've equaled out the length of my strap, because this is all one piece. This is all one strap, because it goes through a ladder lock buckle over there, and a ladder lock buckle over there on the frame. You know where you put your straps through for your shoulder straps? That's what it's secured off to. We'll do a whole other video on that and on those tri-glides, because I got those set up in a certain way with parachute cord, you know, that you could do this with any buckle. You just set it up a certain way and you can use it on just about anything. I did it on that pouch over there that I use for a chest bag as well. Alright, so what's the deal here? So in this particular case, I could not, I did not have time to go digging around everywhere for my olive drab 1-inch webbing. Okay. So I just grabbed some of this coyote brown I had sitting around. And coyote brown goes with just about anything, guys. So don't be too obsessed, because what is camouflage? It's something that it confuses the eyes, right? So there should not be any distinct shape or form. That way it confuses you. You don't notice that's a human over there because it doesn't have the shape of a human. It doesn't take that form. And then color is a secondary thing. Okay. Now, if it's an outstanding color, obviously you're going to see it quickly. Norwegian orange, for instance, that they call for, like that, right? Anyway, this is designed to where I can grab these straps, put my knee here in this area, obviously not on the strap, and then just pull on both of these at the same time at an equal amount of force, and it will suck up everything in this pack as tight as I can get it. Of course, you want to make sure you don't have anything that's going to break behind that, right? That area. Anything that's going to break, you don't want that in there. Mostly in the bottom, you're going to have sustainment items like extra chow, extra clothing. You might have one extra set of clothing, okay, and dry bag, whatnot. That might be down in there in the bottom. You ain't going to need that immediately. All your immediate stuff that you're going to want mostly is going to be on the pouches and stuff on the outside. All your other stuff will be on the inside. You can get to later. So that's what that is. Now this one was set up hastily because I didn't have a lot of time. But normally I would put a dog ear on there. Alright, so that there's a dog ear. And that dog ear is so that when I do shove it through here, it won't want to immediately just come back out. See that? That's what those little dog ears are for, okay? That's so many different military packs that you see are packs that are geared towards the military use, made by, you know, companies that may not be military contractors. That's what that dog ear is for. So that you could push that through pals or any other kind of webbing and it doesn't just slide back through and fall out and flapping in the wind. Okay? And you can also dog ear that off to itself. So if there is nothing to push it through there, you can slide that back underneath your ruck, okay, and then have the dog ear to where it latches onto your own webbing. All right. So if the dog ear is like that, then I want to go ahead and just slide that under like that, and then the dog ear will catch like this. See? You see that? Some of you young fellas watching, take note. So that just goes through these natural pass-throughs on these pouches on this Alice pack. If I remember correctly, that is also on the Malice. Yeah. Alright. Got about 7 minutes left. I'm going to go ahead and drop this back. And we are going to have a look-see inside of the Alice. Alright. So, when I get on location, I'm probably going to want to set up my hooch or my hide. And I've got a couple of different tarps here that I can use for that situation. You know, what you want to do is you want to clear an area on the ground, put these down, and then cover it in a little bit of dirt. Alright. This and you know where the corners are, so that when it's time to pull this out, stow it away, then you know, you can put a rock in each of those areas. You know where your corners are for these things. But what that does is when you cover these with loose debris like dirt and debris, that masks any plastic sound from you moving on it, okay? So you want to mask that sound. And, yeah. You may or may not want to use that for that, but you might, okay? This is one option. Another option is just to dig you a grave. You know, dig you a grave. So dig yourself out something about the size of a person. Alright, so you could lay down in there. And instead of using these, you could also save weight. Right? So this is just one option. That's just one option. You could use those for other things. Okay? You could use them for cover as well. Or could actually concealment, because that ain't going to cover you. So in that coffin-like ditch that you dug for yourself to lay down in, you could put things, if you have on hand available, you could put things like, you know, pine needles and whatnot, throw down in there, you know, dirt, you know, you could mess up the dirt to where it's a little bit more comfy. You could dig a hip hole, you know, to go with the outside of outline of your body, things like that, right? Okay, so remember, high and tight on your weight, right? High and tight on your weight. So water's fairly heavy, So my water, I've got my 2 extra 1-quart canteens are up here on either side, right? You got this old school radio pouch up here, okay? So up in my old school radio pouch, I got two 2-quart canteens. And why is this? Why I carry so much water? It depends on the mission, fellas. And it depends on how much water that you feel that you will have on hand between your insertion point and where you're going to have your hide or your patrol base. Okay? How much water are you going to have between A and B? You need to be doing all of these things, all of these pre-mission you need to be doing all this stuff pre-mission so that you kind of have an idea of what's going on out there, even though you never probably been there before. Okay, so you could say, oh yeah, that looks like a dried up creek bed right there, a wadi, right? That looks like a dried up creek bed. Could probably dig there and take a break for a bit and let that fill up with water. And then we could procure our water supply from there, right? This is things you got to be using your noggin, right? Things you got to be thinking about. So if you're gonna like not have a whole lot of water, because we always remember forever and ever, they always said water is life, right? You can't survive without water. You got to have it. So if you got to carry extra water, you got to carry extra water. And that ain't for eating. That's for drinking. And you got to be conserving as you go. Unlike when you're back in the world, you can slug all the coffee you want. Right? Now, I've always been a canteen guy through and through. Through and through. These canteens, despite these caps, I have other NBC caps. These canteens, this one's pretty old, I'm sure. That one's pretty old. Some of them are real old. Yeah, these are actually pretty new. These are 2002. I've got some from the 80s also. I got a lot of canteens around because it's good to have canteens. Alright? Good to have canteens. Now these got NBC caps on them. But I had taken the NBC caps off of some others, the 1-quarts. I had taken them off. Yeah. Anyway, so I got these 2-quarts. You fill them all the way up to the top. And then you put the cap on. Keep from sloshing around so much. Now these right here, oh, another thing, sloshing around. A lot of times if you have them inside with a lot of stuff around them, okay, even if they're partially empty, like these, you're not going to get the, you know, the full slosh out, you know. But if you got a pack with some stuff around them, more or less nobody's going to hear it because it's going to have stuff around to muffle it like silencers, right? Like a suppressor. Clothing around your canteen, natural suppressor. Alright, so yeah, so in my case, I have a river near me, but it's always been considered polluted. So, for like 80 years, I don't, it's been a while, you know, because there used to be a major industrial center at some point along that river, and there was a quote-unquote accident, I guess. And, yeah, so they don't want people to fish in that water, even though people, they fish and they throw it back. I mean, it can't be that polluted if fish continue to live in it, right? but I ain't taking no chances. And yeah, so they don't want you to filter water from there, or get water from there, and I'm not sure I would get it even with a filter, because it was chemical. You know, it was not a biological thing. So took plenty of water just in case I couldn't find a place to dig into the side of a bank or whatnot. So go ahead and set this aside. So I took the covers off so that I could just get those in there nicely, and you just throw the covers on top because they're pretty lightweight. And then when you get on location, you just populate them with the canteens and you're good. Alright. Now, if I were on a mission, I would have a belt kit also. So some of that problem that I had with the suspension system would have gone away with the addition of a belt kit, because I would have had extra support. It was not comfortable, but it was doable, right? You know that saying. Not comfortable, but it's you know, you can do it. It's doable. All right. We're going to leave off with this one. We'll come back to the last leg, I think, of this. See you there.